fighter.
Yep. But let's move on to the main event of the evening, which is a light heavyweight matchup that I'm looking forward to between Dominick Reyes, who's 12-2 and is the plus 110 underdog, going up against Jiri Prochazka, who's 27-3-1 and is the minus 130 favorite. How do you see this going?
Yeah, I think those numbers changed since yesterday, so I'm curious to see what happened. This fight has title implications and is quite similar to the Kudalaba and Jacoby fight in terms of records. Reyes is coming off of 2 big losses, albeit it was against John Jones and Jan Blachowicz, whereas Jiri is coming in having won 11 in a row. He hasn't lost since 2015 and also has a win versus the current Bellator light heavyweight champion, who's no slouch in his own right. When it comes down to this matchup, they both have devastating power on their feet. But Dom has an evolving ground game with 2 wins via submission. Jiri is your stand-up and throw fighter, but has such a bizarre style that gives unusual looks and very little setups. If you go back to his fight with Volkan Oezdemir, he kept his hands down and took some shots and kind of absorbed a lot of shots. At one point, I think Oezdemir buckled him a little bit. He needs to be careful with Dominick. Dominick has a lot of power, not saying that Volkan has no power, but Dominick has a lot of power. And speaking of Dominick, he has faced the tougher opponents and the tougher competition and is due for a big win to reestablish his name in the division. However, with all that being said, I see Jiri Prochazka using that 3-inch reach advantage to get in and get the win. So I'm going to go with Jiri by a 3rd round knockout.
Yeah, for me, it depends on which which Dominick Reyes we see in this matchup, because the one we saw in John Jones was to perfection.
Yeah.
And then his fight against Jan Blachowicz as well, I believe it was. It was just near perfection, where he would circle around, use the octagon, kept on staying to the side of John Jones and just throwing strikes, throwing input, and then avoiding the shots that he needed to avoid. And he looked like he was in perfect shape doing that. Whereas in his fight against Jan Blachowicz, it was the complete opposite. I looked like he was out of shape. He looked like he was just out of it. His game plan wasn't going. His just mood was completely different. I feel like he was still thinking about the John Jones decision, because in my opinion, he should have got that victory, and he wound up getting the loss. And I feel like it stuck with him through that whole training camp, and then the whole fight against Jan Blachowicz, who just looked more hungry in that matchup. But he has fought the better competition. But just like you said, Jiri Prochazka presents a crazy different style that you just can't mistake. But going into the stats right here, you got Reyes, who's 6'4", 205. He's a southpaw fighter. He gets 4.53 significant strikes landed per minute. His accuracy is 50.35. His takedown average is 0.20. And his takedown accuracy is 15.67. So he doesn't go for the takedown that often, but when he tries to, he gets lucky once in a while. And then his submission average is 0.20, whereas Jiri's 6'3", 205. His reach is at 80 inches. That's something to note in this matchup. Just like you said, it kind of has that reach like John Jones, where it's a long reach. He's an orthodox stance fighter. His significant strikes landed per minute is at 5.67. His accuracy on those is 45.21, which is just about halfway mark. He doesn't go for takedowns, so he has no accuracy because he doesn't go for it. And then he doesn't go for submission. So you can definitely tell his style is standing up and trading. That's what his style is. He knows what it is, and that's what he goes for. It's worked for him. He's 27-3 for a reason. Whereas Dominick Reyes, he uses his cardio. He has great cardio. That's what he uses, but he's prone to get hit with bad shots every now and then when he's not focused on the fight, as you saw with the Jan Blachowicz fight. His focus slipped just a little bit, and that's what cost them the fight. And I feel in this matchup, it's going to be better. It's 5 rounds. He's going to use that to his advantage. He's going to move around, but I feel like he's going to slip once. He's going to get clipped in the chin, and I feel like he's going to be winning up until round 4, and then I feel like he's going to get caught with the punch, and it's going to put him to the ground, and he's going to lose by 4th round knockout.
Okay. I agree with you with what you said about Reyes after the John Jones fight. I think he hung his cap on that he was the champion. Great fight, probably the best we've ever seen him, despite the outcome. I agree. I think he should have got that nod as well. It was very close, and I understand that the judges went with Jones because he's the champion. You got to do something spectacular to take the belt from one of the greatest. Yeah. But with Jiri, like, I'm curious to see what his gas tank is like. A lot of his fights don't make it out of the 1st and 2nd round. So if we're going in a 5-fight main event, I'm going 3rd round KO. I still think his gas tank might be in question. And I know you said 4th. That's still a big question. I'm curious to see where they go with Jiri after this. His rise to stardom in the UFC is crazy. I think this is, what, a 2nd fight in the UFC?
I believe so.
It was Volkan was his first one, and before that he was beating CB Dollaway in another promotion. So
obviously they think highly of him if they're already giving him to Dominick Reyes, who is just coming off of having a title fight and then having a fight against the new champ now in Jan Hovich.
Yeah, 2 title fights in a row.
So obviously he has high hopes. Dana White has high hopes for Jiri if they're going to feed him right to the wolves right away, going from like Otis Smear to right to Reyes. That's a big jump, in my opinion.
It's huge. You're going from unranked to 7, and now you're fighting 4. If he beats Dom, he's in and out. Like we said, he's quick. He's quick to get these wins. If he comes out unscathed, they're going to keep him ready and keep him in the wings for a backup for that Glover and Jan fight. And if Glover doesn't make it, they're just going to throw these 2 action figures into the cage together and fight. I'm very interested in this fight.
Yeah, so am I, just for that matter. And then just thinking of how the light heavyweight divisions and all these new talent, you had Ankalaev moving into the top 10. Mm-hmm. You got him right here. You got Rakic right there. I would love to see Rakic against Jiri Prochazka. That'd be a barnstormer in itself. You still have the champ,
Thiago Santos versus
Thiago Santos. Yeah, and then of course you got Glover Teixeira, who's fighting the champion Hovich, and then you got Span. You got
Anthony
Span.
Smith.
You got Anthony Smith. You did have Jimmy Crew before the crazy leg kick. So likely they're have a rematch, I think. And then you even have the winner of Paul Craig and Jamal Hill. Yeah. So you got all these guys right there that are looking to break into that title picture, and this guy just comes right in, gets the fight, wins it, and then now he's getting this top 5 matchup. Yeah. Where my favorite guy in the division, Magomed Ankalaev, had to do a little bit of damage to get into that top 10. And I think it's because of Prochazka's record. He's an established fighter, so I think that's why they did it. But like, if he wins this matchup, it'll be hard pressed to think that he doesn't deserve at least a number 1 contender fight.
Yeah, for sure. Like, him and Santos would make sense right after, if this is a win, maybe in the summer or the early fall.
Well, that's why I think it's him and Rakic, because Rakic won, and Rakic I think is ranked number 2, I think now. So
man, what an ascent of power on his too. It's crazy. Like 3 years ago, the light heavyweight division was nothing like this. It was John Jones and DC just jockeying for position and fighting each other on Twitter, and now we have a huge batch of new blood and new fighters that are exciting and powerful. It's great to be an MMA fan right now.
Exactly, and that's why you have all these different avenues now that Dana White is working from. You had LFA, which he's getting guys going to Dana White Contender Series, and then now that you have fighters fighting more than just once every 3 months or every 4 months, you got guys taking fights on 3 weeks, 4 weeks notice
Yeah.
So they're fighting more, and it's making them want to come there and fight and give it their all, because now they're going to get paid more by giving more fights within the year. Because usually, at the most, you would see him fight 3 times a year.
Yeah.
Now, seeing Figueiredo, who had 6 fights last year, or Kevin Holland, who had 5 fights last year, it's making an emphasis on the fighter now, and they're getting more crops of talent from different promotions or side promotions that are coming in.
Yeah.
So it's helping out and building divisions with the younger talent.
Yeah. It like I said, man, it's great to be an MMA fan outside of UFC.
Yeah.
You've got, you got one championship killing it. PFL's back. You have Bellator, LFA. You have so many good things going on right now. So I'm excited. But this fight, I think this is going to be the fight of the night, honestly. I think that this is going to be the best fight of the card.
I was thinking that, but it depends on what Dominick Reyes shows up. I don't know what version of him is going to show up, because, like I said, the past 2 fights, we've seen 2 completely different versions of himself, just in mindset and then his game plan.
Yeah.
Totally different. And I think he needs to be on the ball. Yeah, because he can't slip in this matchup, because if he does, just like against Jan, he's going to get caught and he's going to get put to sleep.
Yeah, we need the Dominick Reyes that fought Chris Weidman.
Exactly. Yeah. Definitely, because that's him at his best. But that is the end of our